2 years, 2 months, and 2 days. That is how long Henry David Thoreau lived at Walden Pond. Not a weekend, not a summer, not a sabbatical. 2 years, 2 months, 2 days. He counted every one. He did not go there to hide. He went there to find out what would happen if he stopped adding, if he stopped buying, if he stopped chasing the next thing and simply stayed still long enough to hear what his own life was trying to tell him. He grew beans. He read the Bhagavad Gita. He watched the ice break on the water each spring. He called it work. By the world's standards, he produced almost nothing. No salary, no title, no promotion, no product, no legacy you could put in a museum. He was richer than any farmer in Concord because he needed less, and needing less made him more. I have been adding for years. More apps, more commitments, more subscriptions, more things in more closets and more rooms I never use. The pile got heavier. I never got lighter. I told myself that more was the path to more. More money, more freedom, more time to do what I actually wanted. But the more I added, the less time I had. The more I owned, the more my things owned me. The more I chased, the farther away the thing I was chasing seemed to get. Thoreau noticed something the rest of us miss. Adding is easy. Subtracting is hard. But subtraction is the only thing that works. He did not go to the woods to add anything to his life. He went to subtract. Subtract the noise. Subtract the errands. Subtract the opinions of people whose names he would not remember in a year. Subtract the assumption that a good life is a full life. He wanted to know what was left when you took away everything that did not matter. What was left was enough. A cabin, a pond, a fire, a pencil, a few books, beans growing in a field, a path worn by his own feet, a sky that changed every evening and never asked him to produce anything. I have tried to subtract before. I have deleted apps. I have canceled subscriptions. I have said no to invitations, but I always added them back because I was subtracting the wrong thing. I was subtracting activities. Thoreau subtracted the assumption underneath the activities. The assumption that said a day without output is a day wasted. That assumption was the root. Everything else was just branches. You can trim branches forever. The tree keeps growing. You have to pull the root. Thoreau pulled the root. He sat in his doorway from sunrise until noon. He did not read. He did not write. He did not plan. He sat with his hands open on his knees, watching the light move across the pond, not waiting for something to happen, not preparing for something later, just present to the one thing in front of him. He called it work, and he meant it, because sitting, just sitting, was the most productive thing he had ever done. It was the first time he had stopped performing long enough to notice that he was already alive. Put your hands in your lap right now, not to do anything, just to feel them. That stillness, the one that makes you uncomfortable, the one your mind immediately tries to fill, that is the thing Thoreau was protecting. That is what 2 years at a pond was for. Not peace as an idea, peace as a physical fact. The weight of your own hands doing nothing. The verdict, this is enough. I have never called sitting work. I call sitting wasted time. I call stillness laziness. I have been trained to measure my worth by what I produce, not by who I become while I am still. Thoreau taught me that a day without output might be the first day I actually live. Here is what he discovered in that doorway. The noise was not coming from the village. The noise was coming from the agreement he had never questioned. The agreement that said a man must earn his rest. That a day without output is a day wasted. That rest is for people who have already succeeded. He rejected the agreement, not by fighting it, by refusing to sign it. He put down the pen. He walked away from the table. He stopped participating in the game that had been making him miserable. And when he stopped, he heard something he had not heard in years. His own voice. Not the voice that told him to work harder. Not the voice that compared him to his neighbors. Not the voice that said he was falling behind. The voice that said, "This is enough. You are enough. You do not need to earn the right to be still. That voice had been there the whole time. He just could not hear it over the noise he had agreed to. The woods did not change him. The cabin did not change him. The silence did not change him. The subtraction changed him. I have been adding for years. The pile got heavier. I never got lighter. I thought the solution was more discipline, a better system, a better calendar, the perfect morning routine. I kept believing that if I could just get organized enough, the weight would finally lift. It never did. Because the problem was never my system. The problem was the assumption underneath it, that more was always the answer. Thoreau showed me that the answer was not more. The answer was less. Not less as in deprivation. Less as in freedom. Less as in finally having enough room to hear myself think. 2 years, 2 months, 2 days. He did not stay forever. He left because he had found what he came for. He had learned that the richest man is not the one who has the most. The richest man is the one who needs the least. And needing less is not something you achieve. It is something you allow. You do not need to try harder to want less. You need to stop long enough to notice that you already have enough. I have been adding for years. The pile got heavier. I never got lighter. Today I subtract one thing. Not everything. One thing. One subscription. One commitment. One assumption that I do not need to carry. One thing. That is where it starts. Not with a cabin in the woods. Not with 2 years at a pond. Not with a vow of poverty or a life of isolation. One subtraction. The thing you have been telling yourself you need but have never once used. The yes you said when you meant no. The thing in the closet you forgot you owned. The assumption that you must keep running or you will fall behind. Subtract it. Just for today. See what happens. The voice that says you need more is not your voice. It is the voice of the game you never agreed to play. You can stop playing. You do not need to win. You need to stop. Thoreau stopped. He sat in his doorway. He watched the sun move across the sky. He grew beans. He walked in the woods. He called it work. It was the most productive work he ever did, because it taught him that he was already enough. Not after the promotion, not after the house, not after the savings account reached a certain number. Now, already enough. 2 years, 2 months, 2 days. He counted every one, not because he was watching the clock, because he was learning how to live it. You do not need 2 years. You need one subtraction, one moment of stopping, one decision that the game you have been running is not yours. That decision is available to you right now. I need less to become more. I need less to become more. I need less to become more.